Alright, so right when I thought I was this hardcore red pill sucked londa, this happened. The blue pill inside me couldn't get enough of it, and it had to show up, it had to make a cameo time and time again. I mean, yes, I have had simpy intuitions before. Yes, I have also course corrected them at that very moment, and nothing really got that bad ever in my life until this very moment. Because this one, my friend, this one took me for a ride. A bloody well ride. Now, mind you, most of you might not even consider this episode the story of my life anything simpy. You might call me names, you might call me a privileged, liberated soul, or you may call me anything that you would want. But take this like a case study. Take this as a case study, because I think my story times are nothing else besides fantastic case studies for you to not do the mistakes that I do in my life every now and then. Because like it or not, gentlemen, if you could only understand the problem of today's episode, if you could only understand the problem in my life's episode, you would actually realize for a fact that how terrible and how injurious simping could get for your mental health. So here we go. Gentlemen, my name is Mayank Bhattacharya. This is another episode of Story Time with Mayank Bhattacharya, another episode of Life Essentials. A few mistakes that I make that you should not do in your life ever again. Let's roll. Okay, so this is a recent event, rather this is a fairly new episode. I met this girl, we had mutual friends, we were cool, we hung out and we became friends. A few years have passed and now she is in my city, she is visiting my friend. So I take some time out, pull out my sexy new TMB basics, wear my Boston shoes and head out for a fun lunch that we all had planned. We hung out, we talked, we shopped, and in general we had a very great time. I dropped them at their place and I was on my way back to my very own place. But then an impromptu plan happened and we decided to go to another place. Now the thing to keep in mind here is that she invited me over. So till now I have not been in my game mode. I don't have any intention to do anything with her because she was a mutual friend and I was only there for a couple of hours and I was on my way back. But then the narrative changed. There was an invitation, there was a sign of interest, and I could not stop but game. She was in, she was interested, we hooked up and it was great. Things got over, the day ended and everything was fine. Everything was actually going pretty solid thus far. Or at least that's what I thought. You see, I thought I never really had a type in the types of girl I wanted to date, but that night or following these events, I realized that I might do have a type by now. And this girl, gentlemen, this 25-year-old pretty smart lady was one of my types. So considering the fact that she was cute, she was pretty, and she was also a smart one, I did have my thoughts for a short amount of time. You know, she was out there trying to get married, she was trying to find a suitable partner for a marriage and whatnot, and I back then, this is about a year-old episode by now, but then I back then was in no mood for anything serious whatsoever. I had all these crazy things happening with Boston basics and numerous other things on the back end, and I had absolute no emotional bandwidth or strength to look for something serious at that point in time. We communicated, we talked, and that was the end of it. At least that's what I thought. Anyway, we concluded our little adventure and stayed in touch every now and then. Again, she wasn't from my city, so I couldn't really do much about it anyway. Gentlemen, I was pretty much done with the idea of seeing her ever again because that didn't really come across as a logical next step. She went back to her city, she started seeing guys for her potential marriage, and that concluded our little chapter. But then, was it really that case? Well, we need to go back in time. You see, much before my introduction to red pill, social dynamics, game and pickup, I was a glorified simp. No, don't get me wrong, I wasn't technically bad with women, I was just a glorified simp with women. Okay, so don't get me as a sad virgin loser whose life was totally transformed with pickup and red pill and game, and he could not even talk to a girl before, and then all of a sudden he became this Casanova Tom Cruise, Daniel Craig kind of a dude. No, fuck no, that wasn't the case. That hasn't ever been the case. Gentlemen, let's just say that it got better. My whole social approach to life, my whole social approach to my personal life, to women and to everything that there was associated to relationships, it got 110 folds better. Better after I discovered social dynamics, game, red pill, and all of that good things. Now you see, it's been a while since I actually consciously simped over someone. Because gentlemen, I have worked hard on this. I have worked hard on the idea of not simping over someone, especially if she's pretty, hot, or quite attractive, because that's what I used to do as my default sense of expression. So if I can be honest, I had to force myself, I had to overcorrect myself, I had to literally push myself out of doing anything that I used to do considering it normal, because they weren't normal, they were simpy behavior, and that wasn't solving any one of my problems. But साला आखिर foundation तो simp ही बनाया ना. My foundations were still quite simpy in nature. So it does not happen quite often, it does not happen very often, but I do notice it. I can do consciously pick on it every now and then, that my simpy conscious self, my simpy subconscious self will keep creeping in, will keep making a cameo every now and then. Now with years of practice, experience and awareness, I'm able to snap myself out of the simpy behavior quite quickly and quite often. Honestly, I think I'm getting better at it every passing day, but this wasn't the case. This was not the day, and honestly it took me by surprise. You see, to better understand my simpy background, you need to have some context, you need a backstory. The year was 2010. I remember this was the very first time I'm dating someone, and the girl I was dating was from South Bombay. She was so-called totally out of my league back then, and I thought I could not even get someone as pretty and as amazing as her, so I could only do this one thing and one thing very well, which was simp my mind out. Now you see, I may not be an extrovert, I may not be a socially pleasing guy, but I am a damn performer. What do you think I'm doing right now, setting up 3 cameras and trying to roll everything by myself and trying to cut this video for you, putting the music track and make it look like a fucking story? I like this. I like doing this because I think I am a deep down very hardcore performer, and in this case it was my intimate performance. I think it was around 2010 December. I was on my way back from the gym and I stopped by this newspaper stand when I spotted this one particular thing. It was called Men's Health India. I was new to working out and the cover looked absolute fantastic. There was someone shirtless with his rock solid 6-pack abs, and it did motivate me to pick it up and give it a read. I took that magazine, opened it up, and by God, I was in. Gentlemen, there was this one particular section in that book where a sexologist answers the given questions. The page was all about men's health and sex, and that was probably one of the favorite columns you could learn and gain insights from. So I'm going through the workout plan, I'm going through the diet, and then I see that column. I started giving it a read. I read a few things and I feel intrigued. I'm hooked. I want to learn this and I want to try it out. But before I tell you what it was, we need to thank the sponsor of today's video. Gentlemen, today's video is sponsored by my very own company called TMB Basics and Boston Shoes. In case you are looking for some sexy formal footwear, in case you are looking for some sexy leather sneakers, canvas sneakers, boots, monk straps or loafers for yourself, in case you are looking for some Goodyear welted sexy pieces for yourself, you can check them all out at tmbasics.com or at boston.com. We have recently launched our polos, Henleys, and obviously our sexy shirts are in stock. Few of them at least are still in stock. In case you haven't, you can check them all out at tmbasics.com. In case you're wondering where did our classics go, well, we have also restocked our classic black crew neck and a classic white crew neck as well. Limited stock, available only till the time we have the stock. In case you haven't, head over to tmbasics.com. Check it out, support the channel, support the show, fund me, help me buy a plane so that I can fly around and make more videos for you. Anyway, coming back to the story. So call it my South Bombay liberated exposure or whatever that it may be. But the performer inside me and the South Bombay relationship that I had been in wanted me to give this a try, wanted me to give this new insight a hands-on experience as fast as I personally could. So I meet my girl, we drove around for a bit, and I did that thing. I did that subtle thing that I learned, rather read about, on that particular issue of Men's Health India magazine. And by God, I was not surprised. She was red. Her eyes were red, her cheeks were red, everything in her, about her was absolutely red. She was gushing, blushing, and she really wanted to eat me up right then and there. I, being a simp, obliged. Now it's been what, 12, 13 years of that episode, and I would have by now read about 50, 60 different men's health magazines, GQ magazines from all over the world, probably hundreds and thousands of articles on men's health, intimacy and all that there is from all over the globe. And this hasn't ever stepped out of my mind. This hasn't ever gotten out of my head thus far. Gentlemen, if there is anything in this world besides this content creation, besides building brands, besides basics, Boston, Aura, Secret, Sexy, grooming company which is coming very soon for your uber sexy hairstyles and whatnot, we'll talk more about it in a minute. But besides all these skills, besides everything that I do and that you see, besides all of it, if there is one skill that I'm actually personally good at, which I honestly believe that I'm good at, then it has to be my intimacy, it has to be my romantic interest. I mean, I kid you not when I tell you this. All my creative art that you see in my video production, this is not even 25% of the time and investment and work I have put in the performance of pleasing my partner when the time comes. I have actually sat down and researched on this and worked on this like a PhD scientist would on his thesis. This is my apparent thesis. And gentlemen, it was this very pride or this very need to prove my skill that made me simp over two ladies that I wouldn't have simped over ever in my life. You see, I hooked up with both of them. They both had a great time. We had a great time. It was absolutely fantastic. They were in tears. It was rainbows and sunshine everywhere. But I knew for a fact that I could do better. I knew for a fact that they haven't really seen the whole of Mayank Bhattacharya. And for some reason, this was very important for me to prove. This pride that I have attached to this idea or this skill that I have worked on, to express it and to show my full capability, well, this was very important for me to do, and that was quite stupid. I mean, I kid you not when I tell you this. If I actually share the screenshots that they sent me after they went back home, you'll absolutely be annoyed and pissed off at my current overthinking behavior. That, Mayank, what the fuck is your bloody problem? Why are you overthinking this? Why is it even that relevant, that important? And maybe that's why I'm even making this video. That's why I'm even taping this, and that's why I'm trying to remind myself literally in a form of a content that don't do this mistake again. Mayank, do not make this mistake ever again. I mean, honestly speaking, I need accountability. I need a proof to call me out whenever I simp my brains out again. So you see, my absolute great hookups with both these beautiful ladies would have been an absolute fantastic experience for majority of the population in the globe. Forget about this country altogether. But I, in my head, think that I didn't do well enough, I didn't perform well enough, I couldn't actually make her see 17 stars that I had thought in my head. So I need to simp over her for some apparent reason that has no fucking logic whatsoever, so that I can show her how epic I am. Stupid, fucking stupid. Now, had it not been for my best friend, thank God for my best friend who called me out on this simpy behavior, and she actually put it very blunt on my face that, Mayank, there are times you have to let go of your stupid perfectionism, because this perfectionist mindset that you have, this can literally get you killed. This can literally get you into deep fucking mental trouble if you don't call it out and if you don't cut it out sooner. So thank you, dear best friend, for calling me out and saving my ass. So the moral, the conclusion: stop idealizing ideas, stop idealizing perfectionism, stop idealizing your fancies, and stop simping for no reason at all. I mean, when do men simp really? When they like a girl and she doesn't like him back. He really wants her approval, he really wants her attention, and he simps over her real hard. I wanted their approval, I wanted more of their approval, I wanted more of their acceptance, I wanted more of the tears and the happiness and the bliss in their eyes of absolute pleasure that I could give them. Why? What's the point? Gentlemen, what's the point of you being available to a girl when she is clearly not? What's the point of you idealizing a hypothesis when she is clearly not? I mean, I was still not quite interested. I was still not quite there for the marriage or for anything serious per se, but I was waiting. I would absolutely lie if I tell you that I was not waiting to see her again, game her again, and probably make her see suns and moons, all of it together. But I had to pull myself out. I did what I could, and I did my very best at it. Now I simply can't, and I simply should not overthink and overanalyze things that aren't in my hand, that aren't in my control whatsoever. So you know what? It's okay. It's absolutely okay to not be perfect. It's absolutely okay to not always have the same reaction, same appreciation, and same approval for the thought or the idea that you have in your head. It's absolutely okay to get up, move out, and move on from the ideas, ladies, or things that aren't in your hand. Gentlemen, it's okay for you to express your feelings or interest to someone you like. It's normal for you to feel validated for something that you think is right. But it's not okay for anyone, be it a man or a woman, to start associating their values, their self-worth, and their pride to a person, an event, or an episode's outcome. You're awesome, my friend. You did your best. You're a fighter. You took your shots. But now it's time we dust off and move forward. Plenty blissful tears awaiting skillful men to be their tears. Go find yours. Jai Hind. Don't simp. Don't simp. What the fuck? Good video. मजा आ गया